Well, Canada is experiencing summer weather like it has never seen before, unprecedented heat and record-breaking temperatures. But climate change is also bringing more muggy, humid weather to drier parts of the country. Jayla Bernstein has been researching the latest climate projections, and she joins me now from Montreal. Jayla, good morning. How much more hot and humid are we talking?
Well, it depends where you live in the country. But if we take a look at Toronto, for instance, people there are already used to some kind of hot and humid weather in their summers. So typically, historically, Toronto would see around 12 days a year that felt warmer than 35 with the humidity. But depending on greenhouse gas emissions, that could go up to as many as 37 days a year that feel warmer than 35 with the humidity, or as high as 87 days a year that feel that warm by the end of the century. So that's a pretty significant increase, but actually where the increases are more stark is out west, because there people are really known for dealing with that hot, dry heat. They don't have the hot, muggy heat like we're used to here in central or eastern Canada. So if I give you Calgary, for example, they could go from traditionally, historically, around 0 days a year that feel warmer than 35 with the humidity to as many as 25 days a year that feel that warm by the end of the century. And so the concern here is really about a potential threat to people's health, people who aren't acclimatized to that kind of hot, muggy weather. Humidity really can make heat more dangerous because it prevents us from being able to cool down as easily. It prevents us from being able to cool off by sweating. So a lot of potential adaptations that need to be made, preparations that need to be made in regions out west if these are going to be the new normals. And that's still, not set in stone. It really all depends on our cuts to greenhouse gas emissions.
And Jayla, a lot of us have received those heat alerts this summer already. Is that kind of warning system ready for the future?
So this is something that's really being studied right now. Currently in BC and Alberta, those are the two provinces that don't actually trigger those heat warnings based on humidex. They only trigger their heat warnings based on the actual temperature, not how humidity makes the temperature feel to us on the ground. And so that, of course, hasn't really been needed in the past to have that humidex trigger because of their traditionally drier climates, but that could be changing. And I spoke to the city of Lethbridge, that's in southern Alberta, about a local solution they've come up with to potentially address that gap.
We've actually found a way where we can define our own emergency. So under the authority of our city manager, if we're experiencing a situation that hasn't quite hit Environment Canada standards, we are seeing something in the community, we can then activate our plan under the assumption of an emergency situation defined under this plan, but outside of the realm of Environment Canada.
Now, I spoke with a meteorologist with Environment and Climate Change Canada, and he said, look, it's not yet clear whether or not those humidex criteria need to be included in triggers for heat warnings. But I put the question to both the government of Alberta and the government of BC. They both said this is something they're looking at as they figure out how to evolve, how to adapt to not just more heat, but also potentially more humidity in the future.
All right, thank you so much for this morning, Jayla. And Jayla has helped put together an interactive tool on our website. It's called How Hot and Humid Will Your City Be in the Future? You can punch in your location to calculate how climate change could affect the number of muggy days where you live. You can find it at CBCNews.ca.